All right. Here's our presentation on the Lewis and Clark expedition with Adam, as you know.
Aiden.
And Pizza Craft.
All right. Enjoy the show. We're going to start with the Louisiana Purchase here. As you can see, this is our president, Thomas Jefferson at the time. And he got this guy, James Monroe, to go negotiate with Napoleon because they wanted New Orleans for $10 million. However, Napoleon's ambassador offered Louisiana for $15 million, which they gladly accepted. Now, you may be thinking that Louisiana is that little puny state that most people forget when they're naming all the 50 states. But this is the Louisiana Territory at the time. This large, fertile piece of land by the Mississippi River over here that was largely uninhabited. Yeah, largely uninhabited. And it was just a lot of land waiting to be explored. Let me introduce you to the main characters. We're going to start with Meriwether Lewis. He was the smart guy, very shy, and the original captain of the expedition. William Clark, on the other hand, was a charismatic leader and appointed by Lewis to be his co-captain. And together they led the Corps of Discovery, around 50 men.
So Lewis and Clark stopped at Benjamin Rush's house. He gave them some Rush's pills, which is mercury and laxatives, which probably isn't a good medicine, but they took it anyway.
Essentially, it stopped their constipation.
Departure. At the beginning of their journey on May 14th, 1806, they headed north from Camp Du Bois on a Nile boat and 2 canoes.
Teton Sioux. In September, the explorers encountered the indigenous Teton Sioux people. This was one of the few tense encounters with the indigenous people, since most of them were friendly. Clark went ashore to trade with the Sioux. However, the Sioux wouldn't allow Clark to return to his boat. They released Clark only when they said that the corpse would fight back. Arikara. After that, they then encountered the Arikara Indians. They offered peace and gifts, and they were also fascinated with York, who was Clark's slave.
Level 3. Winter in North Dakota. They stayed at Fort Mandan, where they met the Mandan people and the Hasati tribes. Toussaint Charbonneau, a French explorer, was married to the famous Native American or American Indian named Sacagawea, who would lead as a guide and help them explore their territories. She will be very, very important later on. Afterwards, they went through the Lemhi Pass, which was a dangerous pass through the Rocky Mountains, as it went through the Continental Divide. Sacagawea, coincidentally, united with her brother, a tribal chief in the area, who showed them the way and gave them horses. She helped them immensely with navigation through the harsh terrain. And unfortunately, Lewis and Clark discovered it was a giant mountain range instead of a navigable river leading straight down to the Pacific. Level 5, to the Pacific. They went down the Clearwater, Snake, and Columbia rivers on little boats made out of cottonwood. There, they eventually settled in Oregon.
Level 6. Winter. After they arrived at the Pacific in 1805, winter slowed their progress severely because of big storms. Everyone, including the slaves Sacagawea and York, cast a vote on where to stay the winter. They ended up staying near modern-day Astoria, Oregon, and built Fort Clatsop, where they struggled through the winter. During their stay in the winter, they tried to make salt, they ate dried meat, and they even found a washed-up whale on the beach.
Level 7, Return. Lewis and Clark followed the Columbia River upstream to return home. They used horses to carry their stuff, and on the way they passed by many indigenous villages.
Finally, their legacy. Clark's maps were used as the most accurate and best until 1840. They contributed greatly to the geographic and scientific knowledge of the West, strengthens America's claim to the Pacific, and they were the most famous American exploration, famous enough to show up in a Yap Academy video. Here are some misconceptions. They weren't the first people to explore the area, nor the first non-native people to explore it. So they weren't the first, but they were very important. And they didn't find a direct water route to the Pacific, unfortunately. Alright, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out
Pizza Craft.
Hey, and a big thanks to all the guests.
Like and subscribe.